What's up, everybody? Whoo, that was a long holiday. So I just started Facebook Live a little bit early, like a minute early. And I'm just going to see first off if I did this right, if you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me at all? Oh, there you guys are. Can you guys hear me? Give me a yes if you hear me. You guys hear me? Hello, hello. I know these are going to probably come in really slow. So many of you here already. I'm going to wait for just like another minute or two before I say my introduction about Demon House. So when we do this, you guys can ask me some questions. I don't know how fast Facebook is going to load these questions, but as I see here now, it's already stuck. So we'll see what happens. But if you guys can hear me, I just want to say hello to everybody. I hope you guys had a happy holidays. I wanted to do a quick Facebook Live with you all because on New Year's Day, really exciting news. We're going to be having the Demon House television premiere on Travel Channel, which is really exciting. And immediately following Demon House premiere is going to be a special 1 hour lost footage special. And what's really cool about this lost footage special is that it includes a lot of investigation stuff that so many of you wanted out of the film. And see, I'm looking at this, guys, and it's all stuck. Oh, wait a minute. I just had to scroll down. Sorry about that. Okay. Do you get a full night's sleep ever? No, I slept horrible last night. So look, I'm going to start answering some of your questions in a little bit, but I just wanted to say thank you all for joining right now. Looks like there's about 5,000 of you guys already. Again, we're going to be having the television premiere of my documentary Demon House on the Travel Channel New Year's Day night. I believe it airs in prime time at 9 p.m., I'm pretty sure. And like I said, as I was getting to this, the really exciting part too is watch the whole film. And then if you haven't seen it yet, you have a little bonus there, or if you have seen it, regardless, you have a bonus there. There's going to be a 1 hour lost footage special. And this 1 hour special, immediately following the Demon House premiere, is footage that was never in the documentary. You know, this was such a long investigation for me, and it was so unique to me. It was so different than any other investigations on Ghost Adventures. And it wasn't just because of how long that I had to investigate it. It was just how this house, how this haunting, how these entities affected people. So it wasn't, yes, and it wasn't your classic, we show up and we use all of our equipment and we do that. It was different than that. I was different. Every time I was there at the house, I was different. It just had this really weird effect on you and anybody that entered in through those doors. I'd say about 90% of the people that walked into that house had some type of effect. It was like you were being exposed to some contagious disease and you just didn't know when your symptoms were going to start. Some of them it started right away, some of them it started right when they got home. And there isn't a day that goes by where I do not think about Demon House, the experiences, just the feelings that happen there. So I'm really excited to have this television premiere of Demon House on New Year's Day. Like I said, in this lost footage, there's a lot more lockdown style investigations, and that was a complaint, making this film. And this wasn't making Demon House, wasn't I had everything lined up. It was literally I was there 2 weeks after I bought it, and 3 weeks from prior to that of me being there, I never even heard about Demon House. So it came out in the newspapers. I bought it over the phone that day. I was a little late showing up to film Ghost Adventures that day because I was on the phone for 45 minutes trying to buy this house. But that's the interesting part about this is that I had nothing. I just had a couple people that I was supposed to talk to when I showed up there, and that's how this progressed. So if you guys want to ask me any questions about Demon House, why don't you go ahead and ask me some questions, and I'm going to see if it looks like it's working pretty good. But again, happy holidays to you guys. Hope you guys had a good holiday. Thank you all for your condolences about my father. I appreciate that. It's been a very tough time, so I appreciate that. So why don't you guys, do you have any questions for those of you that have seen the film, or for those of you that haven't seen the film, to see what maybe you're going to expect out of watching it? So I'm just looking for some questions from you guys. Zach, Demon House gave me very negative visions and feelings after watching. Maybe warn people who haven't seen it if they are any kind of sensitive. So yes, there is a warning at the beginning of Demon House. And let me tell you guys something very, very clear, that as much as somebody says, any demonologists, priests, exorcists, if anybody tells you they can exactly diagnose and study the actions of demons, which I have, but I still can't tell you exactly how they function and exactly, their intentions and how they manifest and this and that. So I can tell you based upon my experiences, based upon evidence that I've captured. But the warning at the beginning of Demon House is because when I first showed up to this case, the captain, Charles Austin of the Gary Police Department, he told me, which was very strange, the first thing that he told me is that these demons will affect women and children physically, and men, being the stronger being, is what he said in his words, electronically. It didn't make sense to me what he meant about stronger beings and all this kind of thing, but I think what he was saying is that the people in the case that he observed, the demons tended to affect the people in the case, the Ammons, who are, I guess, more vulnerable in their state of mind. They would attack them physically. And I guess they were more vulnerable in their state of mind at the time of this case. And any of the men, being the police, that went and tried studying this case and observing what it was doing to the women and the children and the Ammons, they would get affected electronically through electronic manipulations of equipment and being followed home. And some of this footage, some of these instances and events are in the 1 hour lost footage special that's going to air right after the film. But because he said this about the electronic and how it affects men that were investigating this case of the Ammons family, the mother and the children, the electronic phenomena was just really interesting, and we experienced it a lot. And that was one of the things that these entities knew how to do very well. I mean, they would go in and manipulate various alarms and security cameras and be able to go in and change the settings of that. So it's really interesting. And when you watch the film and when you watch the 1 hour special, you'll see more in depth about how these entities were able to manipulate electronics and things like that. So putting up the warning at the beginning of the film is, to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't understand how exactly they do it, but they can. And it seems to me, whenever I was home, whenever I was editing this film, whenever any media was editing any content of the Demon House, things would happen to their systems. Here in Las Vegas, Channel 3 News was editing a package for Demon House, and their whole editing system broke. Just 1 week ago, one of my producers, Mike Dorsey, was editing the 1 hour special, and it screwed up all of his editing equipment. And I remember he's told me something when he was sleeping I don't know if it was a faucet, it was his electronic toothbrush, went off all of a sudden in the bathroom and fell off and vibrated off his counter and fell off onto the floor. This was while he was editing the 1 hour special that you're going to see on New Year's Day. And it screwed up all of his editing equipment. He couldn't, forget what that's called. He couldn't process the video or download it to get it to the travel channel. It would always freeze on 99% and do all these weird things. So I don't know. It just seems like these demons and these entities always had this awareness of whenever you were thinking about them. Whenever I was thinking about Demon House, bad, weird things would happen to me. Whenever people were editing or doing anything that had to do it, it seems as though they had this awareness that you were talking about them, that you were watching them. And again, in this 1 hour footage, guys, I'm going to answer some of your questions. I just want to get this out because it's really interesting to me. Is the 1 hour special as well, it would just talk about the electronic phenomena. I was going to say something else, but I forgot. But it was along the lines of that, which was a really interesting phenomena of how these entities, how these demons worked. Do you guys have any questions? How do you feel about stepping into the house? I went to your museum, and that is the only room I couldn't go into. Stepping inside of the demon house, I know this isn't a good thing to say, but the way that I felt, it was like, it was scary, it was dark, but it made me feel good. And I'm not supporting any bad creatures, any evil creatures, but I'm giving you an honest answer. When I would walk in there, every time I was filming Demon House, I was always sick. I was sick every single time. And if you watch the film, you'll notice I feel different. I seem different. I was always sick when I was at filming the Demon House and at the house. Always tired. I never slept. But whenever I went into that house, it was just like somebody injected me with something. And I had all this energy and I just wasn't myself. And I didn't think about, when day to day you think about all the bull crap of your day-to-day lives, of bills and work and all this kind of stuff. Like when I was in there, I didn't think of any of that stuff. Like that was all back. Something came in, and I know that could sound like a possession. It could sound like a channeling, but it was like, I don't know, I felt weirdly good from it. And I knew that wasn't right. And I knew that the other people that went into the house, the things that happened to them after they left. And the thing that jeopardized the production was when I was at the house and we had an impromptu visit by previous occupants of the house. And they wanted to come inside the house, and she wanted to see her old bedroom. They lived there before the Ammons did, the family that was possessed. And when they came in with their kids and the mother, and well, you'll see what happened. I don't want to give away everything, but something very bad happened to the daughter, and it got me emotional, and it jeopardized the whole production. We stopped filming, I think, for like 8 or 9 months because nobody wanted to work there anymore. Just a couple members of my crew wanted to. Everybody else quit. What time is it? 12:12. Were you blessed before going into the demon house? And the shadow figure at the end, what was the shape of it? All that I saw at the end, when you're in a dark, dark room, your eyes will adjust after like 10 minutes. So as dark as it is, you still start to see a little bit. It's like the night creature, the night animals. And I remember hearing a sound, a growling type sound coming from out of the room. And I think it was coming from the basement area. And I remember what I heard was the most scary sound I've ever heard in my entire life. And that is imprinted in my mind. And when we were filming with Dr. Barry Taff and one of my camera operators who got it the worst, they also heard this growl with their own ears. And that sound, I don't know how I stayed in the house at that point. I don't know how I just tried to break out of the house. But at that point, I was just frozen in fear. And that happened for about a minute of me just standing in the bed, just sitting there. not knowing what to do, not knowing how to move, and I felt something in front of me. And I think after I heard that growl, it was only like seconds later that I saw something blacker than what I could see, what my own eyes could see. I saw something black come out of the right-hand side of the wall, which is where the bathroom was. And it didn't make sense to me in the moment, but that's the same exact area where Dr. Barry Taff had a black mass follow him out of that same wall. And later, or way before all of this happened, in the lost footage that you're going to see in the special, you'll see Chris Fleming, the psychic medium. Something also happens to him in that same area. So I think where that bathroom was, where Dr. Barry Taff sensed something there after that black shadow followed him, I believe that there was a portal there that went straight from there down into the ground. And in the ground is where, I'm just giving you guys the whole movie. I need to stop. Once I stick going on this, I can't stop. So I'm not gonna go too much in detail, but it was crazy. And I was originally supposed to stay locked up in that house for 48 hours, and I didn't make it that long. One things that I will say, and I'm just gonna keep going on this live until you guys stay. I'm gonna stay on here for a little bit, because I haven't talked about Demon House for a bit, like in terms of an interview. So what I will say is that after I heard the growl, after I saw that black mass move out, I was able to gather myself a little bit, and I felt like I needed to put my fear aside and go towards it, but I couldn't go down into the bay. I couldn't go that far. And so when I got into the kitchen area, I began having severe pains behind my eyeballs. Like, if you guys have migraine headaches, it's like feeling a migraine headache behind your eyeballs. And it was just, it wouldn't go away. It wouldn't stop. And I had my face down. And shortly thereafter, I got really angry. And I was more angry at the fact that what it was doing to my eyeballs. Because days before that, when we were interviewing downstairs with Dr. Barry Taff, I felt that pressure behind my eyes again. So that was twice. So I got really angry and I threw the TV down, and I was done after that, because I knew that this was getting dangerous and something was affecting me physically. And the next day I wake up and I notice something's not right. And I'm wearing these prism glasses. And if you look really carefully, you can see that my eye kind of goes to the left. So my eye started turning in, and I looked in the mirror and I noticed it. But what I really noticed is I noticed that on a horizontal axis, I saw two images. I had double vision, and this was permanent double vision. And I went back home, and it just wouldn't go away. And I couldn't drive. I couldn't do anything like that. And then I went and had a bunch of neurological tests done, 3 different neurological tests. And they told me I had a condition called diplopia, which is permanent double vision, and I could fix it. And I did go to LA in Beverly Hills. There's a doctor there that was going to do surgery on me. So I go there. My assistant was with me. I woke up. Surgery was at like 7 a.m. I get there, and then they say that they had to do surgery on both eyes. I thought it was only one eye. And they said that if something goes wrong, it does run the risk of total blindness. I was out. I was like, I'll wear these glasses. I'm not running the risk of that, because that's one of my biggest fears. There was no explanation for how this happened. There was no explanation for it whatsoever. They ruled out any neurological diseases. So I know 100% that something in that house caused this. So it was a scary experience. But everybody that's just tuning in, guys, we're going to be having the Demon House television premiere on the Travel Channel on New Year's Day. For those of you who haven't seen it, for those of you who have seen it, tune into this, because at the end there's some demonic dessert, and that's a 1 hour. God, that was a horrible joke. There's a 1 hour lost footage special that's going to air, and you guys are going to want to see that's on that. I will give you a hint. I do run in there and I do scream. Don't make fun of me, because it was scary as hell. Look, the police wouldn't even enter this house, so give me some props here. And I believe that, you know, what I suffered from that house, um, I'm still dealing with today. So it was a crazy experience. Let me just, it's 12:19. I'm going to go for 10 more minutes. You guys want to ask me any more questions? A lot of you asking, let me see, why don't you keep going back down? Okay, so you got a question here about why did you destroy the demon house? Why didn't you let more paranormal investigators go investigate it? If you're getting that kind of evidence, why wouldn't you open this up to the paranormal world? That's why. Because I don't want people having physical things happen to them. And I don't want, I know what I witnessed, and I know what other people witnessed there as well. Pioneers in the field. I know what happened to them. I know how they ended up in the hospital, almost died. I know how other people tried committing suicide 2 days after that I met. Why would I? That would be irresponsible of me. And I didn't want other people going in there and having these problems happen to them. This was serious, you guys. This was, look, I don't care if you believe, if you don't believe. I don't care what your religion is. I don't. All that I care about is I know what happened there. And I know what I experienced, and I saw what happened to others, and the credibility and documentation of what all these other people experienced from police officers, chief police officers. So I don't care about anybody's beliefs on this. Everybody can say what they want. I know that I did the right thing in destroying this house. Now, did that then disperse these demons out? Kind of like when you destroy a hornet's nest and the hornets just fly off and make another nest somewhere. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. All that I do know is that those objects found in the dirt, I've taken those out, and everything's been sealed over there. So that was my step to eradicate the problem, was to burn the hornet's nest. So really interesting too is that while this was going on with the Ammons at that house, other things were happening to the other neighbors right next to the house. So I don't know. I think that the city has unfortunately seen a lot of suffering. It's seen a lot of violence, and I believe that those are some of the emotions and elements that these entities will go to, will feed off of. The actions of others to do violence, murder, things like that. This is how they feed. This is how they thrive. So it was an interesting thing. So let me just look at some of these other questions here. But anyway, I hope you guys had a good holidays. I know we're just a few days away from New Year's. Let's see here. If you guys have any more questions, these are loading really. At the start of the movie, it says the demons can attach to you. I just kind of answered this. I know it was kind of a long answer, but again, you know, because of the electronic phenomena that these demons and entities were doing, and the things that were happening to me, my entire crew, different media, as they would just try to edit packages of the demon house and try to work on things like this, and the problems that they would have, their equipment breaking, things happening to them. And it happened to some of the people that I interviewed at the demon house. I just wanted to let you guys know aware of it. It wasn't any psychosomatic approach to program you into thinking things are going to happen to you. It wasn't any kind of angle of marketing. This was the overall general statement that described this hauntings from the police captain to me, and it started happening. And in the 1 hour lost footage special that will air immediately after Demon House on New Year's Day at 11 p.m., stay up late, you're going to see more about this electronic phenomena and exactly why I put that warning at the beginning of Demon House about watching it. So, hey, I'm just letting you guys know, you know. Let's see here. Any other questions? Will your eyes correct themselves eventually, seeing as it was caused by a demon? Could you have an exorcism? Um, Look, they can correct them in surgery, but it runs the risk of total blindness. I didn't want to take that risk. And look, I hope they do correct themselves. But you know what? I kind of like wearing glasses now. I'm kind of used to it. So I don't know. Might just stick with the glasses for a while. About 5 more minutes. Let's see here. Sherry. So do you own the land plot and plan to build a new house there? I still do own the land. And I'm not planning on building my retirement home on the Demon House property. So no. And I'm not gonna build a playground there or anything like that. I haven't been there since that was demolished. So I have heard from the police there that people have been kind of, you know, going over there and doing rituals, um, and stuff like that on the property. You did what you had to help the family and friends. Thank you, Anne. I give you props. Thank you, Tiffany Malone. Let's see here. You didn't agree. You didn't put them there. You tried to fix it. Okay. Thank you, April Searing. I appreciate that. You have some of the Demon House in your museum. How is that going? Yeah, I'm here right now at the Haunted Museum, at my museum, and I do have some of the relics here. And look, I didn't put them on display here to try to get people injured or this or that. I'm a collector of these things. I'm a collector of cursed items. I'm so fascinated by them. This is a full time thing for me, man. This buildings aren't the only thing that contains energy and that are haunted. I'll tell you what. I mean, so many people have cell phones, are so addicted to these things these days that you could literally use these for trigger objects. And so a lot of the objects that I have are cursed. They have a lot of stories attached to them. Bad things happen. The Demon House was such a huge case for me. It injured me permanently. I have memories of that place that will never erase from my mind. So these relics and mementos from this case are here on display for that very reason. And it's interesting. It's interesting about these objects the police found 2 feet buried under the dirt underneath the stairs. Why wouldn't I keep those? So I do have them on display. The room is, I decided to seal the room. So it has been sealed. I mean, people can still see it, but sealed in terms of my attempts to try to contain it and subdue the powers. People have had experiences in the room. I don't know if some of them have been psychosomatic, people just knowing of, they hear the word demon and they're automatically scared. However, there has been some pretty incredible activity around the Demon House exhibit, but the entire place here has a history and is haunted, so it's hard to exactly target where it's coming from. 12:27, just a few more minutes. Are you in the Haunted Museum? And yes, I am in the Haunted Museum right now. Zach, as a medium, if you get the surgery, you will be okay. Thank you, Tammy. I may just do that. I don't like surgery because I don't like being put out, like with the anesthesia. I just don't like that. It's scary. But these anesthesiologists, they're good at what they do. So let's see. At what point does the phenomenon you experience become too much? Having attachments. It doesn't. I will say that the attachments that I get from the years and years and years that I've been doing this with the guys, Aaron and Billy and Jay and Dakota. These guys are my brothers, and there's something that we understand with each other that nobody can ever understand, and those are the exact moments that we're having a very, very profound encounter with something very dark, and we have to be there for each other. We have to help each other. It's like a soldiers, fighting a war. It's like that, and it's that bond. And I've seen the effects that it's had on them, and most recently with Dakota. Dakota's been going through a lot of stuff at his house that I've just recently learned, and I'm trying to help him out. And I've seen things happen to Aaron and things happen to me, and it's what we do. We'll never stop. I mean, I can't speak for those guys, but I'll never stop doing this. It's just sculpted another side of me that I hate death. I just recently went through the loss of my father a couple weeks ago, and it's so painful. But on the other side of the demons, I also want to observe and look into the afterlife and just what's after this body stops, and the energy inside of us and our soul, where does it go next? So a lot of you ask, why do you do so much dark stuff and stuff like that? I mean, we've been doing this for so long that naturally we like to just go to the edge, and that's just kind of who we are, or who I am built inside. I like that danger element to it. I'm drawn to it. I have a couple different sides to me. I'm a funny, goofy dude. Sometimes I'm a nerd. Sometimes I'm the dangerous guy willing to go and try to face whatever darkness there is. That's just who I am, But that's about it, guys. So I could just blabble forever. So it's 12:30 here. And again, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to this live session. I haven't done it in quite a while. Travel Channel asked me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, heck yeah. I want to talk to you guys and answer some of your questions. So again, Demon House, our television premiere is New Year's Day. I believe it's 9 p.m. And immediately following Demon House will be a 1 hour The Lost Footage special. Please don't laugh at me when I run in that Lost Footage special. Something really scared the hell out of me, and you're going to see it. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys had a excuse me. I need some water. It's so dry in the desert. I hope you guys have a great holidays. I hope you have a good New Year's Eve. Don't drink and drive. So we'll see you on New Year's Day, and let's watch the Demon House together. Live tweet with me.